Striker Wars continues, ladies and gentlemen. Benjamin Sesko, the one that apparently everyone wants. Newcastle, United, and Manchester United. And then there's, of course, break glass for emergency, probably Nico Jackson, and Ollie Watkins somewhere floating around up there as well. But there's been an article on The Athletic by Critchley and Whitehead talking about Sesko. Where's he going to go, man? Which United is he going to go to? We're going to react to that today and get into it. I mean, look. Newcastle just won a trophy. They're playing in the Champions League, but there does seem like there's problems there. Like, Isak's going to go. Like, the squad is not prepared for what's happening to them. And then there's Man United. Hasn't recently won didn't win a trophy last season. Not in the Champions League. But players are joining and want to join. They've seemingly still got that juice. So we're going to get into it today, boys, girls, ladies, and gentlemen. Thanks for joining me here today on Football Yannick. Thank you for supporting the content, as always. Very, very grateful for that. For liking and subscribing. At time of recording, we have 19,211, which means it's 789 to go till we reach our target. So thank you very much for subscribing. Right. The article goes a little something like this. Man United and Newcastle United have made substantial offers, both of them, for Benjamin Sesko. Newcastle's first bid was 75 million euros, plus 5 million euros in add-ons, so that's 80 million euro. That's incredible. But apparently that was deemed insufficient. This market is crazy, by the way. They increased their offer last night to at least 80 million. Then, on Tuesday, heck, that's today at time of recording, United proposed an offer worth 75 plus 10 in extras. 85 million euros. Mamma mia, Leipzig are yet to accept or reject those latest offers, but both are deemed sufficient. If they are, it will come down to who the player wants to join. And this is the big question. Man United are the global giants, and believe Sesko wants to go to them. But they did finish 24 points behind Newcastle in the Premier League last season, of course missing out on European football, while Eddie Howe qualified for the Champions League. So, the boys, Critchley and Whitehead, and Seb Stafford Bloor weigh up which moves makes more sense. So what are the reasons to join Manchester United? Perhaps the only compelling football-related attraction is the stature of the club, of course. Even after a decade of underperformance, and it has been a decade of underperformance and mediocrity, players are still drawn to the prestige of being a Man United player, and of course the likes of Burmo, Cunha, Man United's senior level summer signings, both cited their childhood memories. Of course, Alex Ferguson's sides. It's just easy PR wins when you sign for a club, but it could be true. Watching the team dominate English football, of course, yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo on the shirt, to be fair, that makes sense. As their reason for joining Old Trafford, Sesko was still 10 days short of his 5th birthday on the night of the 2008 Champions League final, when United beat Chelsea on penalties. John Terry slip. So his memories of Ferguson are unlikely to be as vivid. Almost 2 decades later, United's status as one of the biggest clubs in the world has endured, and for many of the players, the challenge of restoring the club to those heights is enticing. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's the, I can fix them. I can be the guy to make this sleeping giant great again. What about Newcastle, though? The most important is how Newcastle United's head coach? Not hedge fund, head coach has a track record of improving players, even big money signings. Look at the development of Isak, Guimaraes, Anthony Gordon, and of course Joel Linton. And for me, the most impressive is Joel Linton, moving him positionally. They've all gone up since joining Newcastle. How many players can say the same at Man United? In it, truth, and to be fair, a great point. Sesko is also guaranteed opportunities. Newcastle's message all summer is that Isak is not up for sale, but it's easy to see how Sesko's arrival could allow Isak to move to Liverpool. So I guess Isak is sort of banking on this move as well, right? Meaning the Slovenians' only strike rival would be the Roar Will Osula, some young kid, I guess. He could also continue playing Champions League football, which would be good for him. Throw in the slightly lower profile spotlight of the Northeast, where he would likely be afforded a few more months to adapt to the league and take on Howe's instructions, and there are far more reasons to believe that St James's Park represents a greater chance of success than Old Trafford. Yeah, because as soon as you go to Man United, you're under the microscope. So what are the reasons to not join Manchester United? Seshko needs to only look at the last season's Premier League table. Manchester United's 15th place finish was their lowest in 51 years. Over half a century. Combined with losing the Europa League final against Spurs. And that was the worst final I've ever seen. It was absolutely terrible. Newcastle can offer top-tier Champions League football this season, yet it is far from guaranteed that Amarim's side will return to Europe's elite soon. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like, what is that? I have no idea. If Seshko picks Old Trafford, he will be picking up the project that has shown scant evidence of sustained progress under a head coach who has little margin for error and has publicly entertained the prospect of leaving. Lovely stuff. An optimistic mood and some positive performances on Man United's pre-season tour of the United States suggest all could still have a change for the better. Amarim will spend the first full season in charge with time to work on his squad and his 3-4-2-1 system. Of course, one game a week as well. Like, this is your chance, Amarim. You've got loads of time now. You had last season's disaster to learn a bit. You've got all pre-season. Now you've got no Europe and you've got additions. Show you're worth it, mate. Show that you can do it. My word. And then the reasons not to join Newcastle are recruitment's been difficult. Like I said, they've missed loads of their first choice targets. Of course, Ramsdale and Langer's joined. Langer's good. He looks appropriate. United's larger revenues also mean they can afford higher salaries than Newcastle. Yes, the public investment fund, the Saudi backing of Newcastle, they still can't funnel the cash in. Helping explain why Mbermo spurred the chance to move to the North East, Newcastle's strict wage structure limits their top-end deal making. And United would offer more money. So, how well does Seshko match what Amorim wants? Well, the centre forward who has performed under Amarim has undoubtedly been Victor Gyökeres, who scored 43 goals and 50 appearances at Sporting. Plenty of those goals came when latching onto through balls, running in behind. By the way, can I just say, out of all those goals he scored, apparently in the league, he scored loads of league goals last season. Only 3 of them. Only 3 of those goals. And he's playing for Sporting, a superpower in Portugal. Only 3 of those goals were against top half teams. Top half teams, only 3 goals. Flat track bully against weaker Portuguese teams playing for a strong Portuguese team. I know he scored loads in the Champions League and for his country, and he's probably going to be fine. And that could be an anomaly, but what a peculiar and potentially worrying. Like, the stat everyone talks about is he can't score headers. And, you know, Arsenal love scoring headers. You know. Anyway, possessing a rare blend of side speed and athleticism, Seshko could perform a similar role as to make the most of Bruno Fernandes's ambitious style of playmaking. That said, Amorim repeatedly insisted he wants United to learn to play slower with more control. All managers say that, man. All managers say that. How well does Seshko match Eddie Howe's Newcastle? Ultimately, Seshko is not Isak. Howe has his perfect striker already. Seshko works well out of possession and has the versatility to split wide in attack traits and that the head coach admires. Like Isak, the raw physical traits are there. The doubt is whether Seshko can unlock them. Howe has previously demonstrated the ability to polish this type of player. The main focus would be increasing the number of scrappy poacher goals, which is the major development in Isak's game over the past 2 years. Seshko, right, let me just give you my thoughts on this. I'd urge you to go check out this article because I want to give you my thoughts now. Seshko is exciting. Lest we forget, he's not just been profiled by Man United and Newcastle United here. He has long been looked at by Arsenal and indeed Chelsea as well. Arsenal probably closer for longer, scouted him harder, firmer and faster, but Chelsea were serious for a long time. He's clearly a desirable young striker. He's big, he's tall, he's fast, he's strong, and he can kick the ball ruddy hard. And therefore, he's got these good highlights reels as well, where you see him do good finishes, getting his leg really high, and just looking like this big, like, raw material centre forward, like, you could make me really good if you're a really good coach. Which makes me think, I don't know how good or bad Amorim is, but I think personally, Seshko at 22 years old, just turned 22 as well a couple months ago. 3 months ago, something like that. He, to me, seems like ready to be moulded. And I think, if you ask me, Yannick, who do you think's a better player, coach, developer of players? I say Eddie Howe. Look, prove me wrong, Ruben Amorim. I'm up for it, mate. But personally, I do think it's Eddie Howe, just from the body of evidence and doing it in a harder league, you know. I mean, it's literally the shirt, isn't it? It's literally the magic, the mystique of Manchester United, the biggest club in England. You know, the players that came before you, the Titans. You know, unless he does what Isak did, he's 22, goes there, plays for 3 years, and then moves on and says that to Newcastle and says, "Look, if you aren't Premier League title challengers in 3 seasons' time, I want that we will be pushing for a move." And maybe there's like an agreement there. But what do you think? Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on this. I really want to hear it. As always, thank you for joining me. Daily content here on Football Yannick. So do join the hype train. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell if you choose to subscribe. And I hope to see you back here soon. Peace.